What's that? You still have one per day.
He's coming, David. Yeah.
Ready?
You want that?
Good morning, everyone. Please rise. Lord God, we give you thanks that the United States of America continues to be the beacon of hope and freedom throughout the world. We ask that you continue to bless the men and women in our military who day in and day out work to protect those who cannot protect themselves. In your name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call the meeting to order at 4 after 10. First thing we need to do is approve minutes from previous meetings.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. At this time, any public comment on agenda items only? Seeing that there is none. Before we get into any action items, I want to take a minute to recognize Miss Tanya Anderson, who will be leaving the county officially tomorrow, but I do think today is her last day. And we want to wish Tanya well and thank you for the excellent service and guidance that you've provided in the Commissioner's office over the last 2 years. And just acknowledge that you have been a contributor to the county during your time of service. Thank you, Tanya. And if you'd like to make any comments, Tanya, we'll give you that opportunity.
Thank you. I would love to. I'm so grateful for the opportunity just to speak on behalf of myself. I love Lycoming County with all my heart, and that's why I took the position to be the administrative manager. Behind the Commissioner's office is some amazing staff. And I just wanted to acknowledge 2 things. The Commissioner McKernan, in your prayer, you said to protect those that can't protect themselves. And just for a moment, this is super important to me. I just want to recognize that the staff and the employees, they are also taxpayers. And I just wanted to say that. So from going forward in the future, that they're not separate. And I even have my paycheck right here so that you can see that each one of the employees, we pay our taxes because we love Lycoming County too, just as much as the constituents that you talk to. And it touches my heart because a lot of people are here because they care. It's not about their salaries. So they need to be here and remain here for more intangible, sacred, divine principles of making Lycoming County successful. So I just want to say that to you, that the 574 employees that you have here, they are your base. When they go out in the community, they're your faces. And I've seen and worked with them since last year, and I know how many sacrifices they make on your behalf, on the county's behalf, putting their lives in danger. The sheriffs, the probation officers, children and youth, more than you can possibly know. So on behalf of Director Nervis, he's an excellent director of administration. He will talk to everybody, the clerks, the department heads. He keeps this county running so that you can do your jobs. He's the one over at RMS. He's the one in prisons. I just wanted to acknowledge that. Eileen Ebner came in. She would do anything to help you guys be successful and was fair and treated all of you with respect. So I'm just saying that because I'm leaving today. And if that's the last thing that you remember about me, that's enough. I want these amazing people right here before you to be valued and trusted when they come before you, because they do their due diligence. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to have been the administrative manager for Lycoming County.
Thank you again, Tanya. We're going to first go to, on the agenda, the item 5.1. We want to proclaim November as National Adoption Awareness Month. And Commissioner Maravito has a proclamation to read.
Proclamation. Whereas every child deserves a permanent, loving family and home, sadly today there are approximately 442,995 children in the United States foster care system, of which 123,437 are awaiting to be adopted. Adoption gives children a brighter future, brings happiness to adoptive families, and places fewer demands on social service And whereas Lycoming County recognizes the importance of helping children in foster care find permanent, safe, and loving families through adoption. In 2018, Pennsylvania had a record number, 2,578 children in foster care who were adopted. And whereas Lycoming County's courts, Children and Youth Agency, and community partners have worked in collaboration to achieve permanency for 105 children through adoption since 2010. And whereas 32 children from Lycoming County are currently living in foster care, and whereas one of those children currently in foster care has been legally and permanently separated from their parents and is waiting to be adopted. And whereas finding willing families has been identified as a critical step in moving children more quickly out of foster care and into loving, permanent homes. And whereas National Adoption Month is celebrated each November in an effort to raise awareness of the more than 123,000 foster children across the United States who are waiting for forever families. And whereas this effort, along with celebrations around the state and nation, will offer children a chance to live with stable and loving families and encourage other adults to consider making a powerful difference in the life of a child through adoption. Now, therefore, we, the Commissioners of Lycoming County, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2019 as National Adoption Awareness Month in the County of Lycoming. In honor of National Adoption Month, we encourage the community, businesses, schools, faith-based organizations, and families to celebrate adoption, honor families that grow through adoption, and to help secure permanent, loving homes for each child in Lycoming County, regardless of age, race, gender, health, or disability. Signed the 14th day of November 2019, County of Lycoming, R. Jack McKernan, Chairperson, Tony Masser, Vice Chairman, Richard Maravito, Secretary.
Judge McCoy.
Each year, November is proclaimed to be National Adoption Month by the President of the United States because as a nation, we believe that all children deserve the chance to reach their full potential, and we have a fundamental responsibility to ensure each child grows up knowing the love and protection of a permanent family. I'd like to thank you for also recognizing this fact in Lycoming County by proclaiming November National Adoption Awareness Month in the County of Lycoming. While National Adoption Month celebrates and brings awareness to all adoptions, it is important that attention is given to children in the foster care system awaiting adoption. In Lycoming County, we are blessed to have an incredible staff of dedicated workers at our Children and Youth Agency that tirelessly work towards ensuring safety and permanency for the children in Lycoming County. Since 2010, 105 children in our county foster care system have achieved permanency through adoption. Currently, there are 32 children in our county living in foster care, and only one of these children has been legally and permanently separated from their parents awaiting adoption. The rest of the children are still working towards reunification with their parents. I would note that I spoke in 2013 for Adoption Awareness Month, and at that time, we had 12 children in our county awaiting adoption who were ready to be adopted. So I think that we've come a tremendous way in the past 7 years to only have one child who has not yet received permanency. I want to personally recognize our agency staff, not just those who work in the permanency and adoption units of the agency, but all the staff members, as well as our service providers and resource families. I feel it is the effort and energy of our staff that our staff puts in every family that has contact with the agency, which leads to the effective record of permanency we have for children in Lycoming County. There are hundreds of families that receive services from the agency that never reach the court system. The practice of putting services in place for families at the very first contact is what has led to our success in keeping children out of the foster care system and bringing about quick permanency for children when a termination of a parental's rights is necessary. The motto of our agency that hangs in my courtroom is a forever home for every child through early identification and early intervention. This motto is put in place every day through Lycoming County Children and Youth. This is what has allowed our agency to bring about permanency for so many children. I do want to note that in the room today I have not only some resource parents who adopted children, I have agency staff, and we also have community supporters as well. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Judge McCoy, can you comment a little bit on how the opioid crisis has sort of made the situation more difficult or not? But I think it'd be good for the public to understand if there has been any increase in children seeking homes.
I definitely think there are a lot more children who are involved in the system because of the opioid crisis. We still, however, work very hard to try to keep them in their homes as long as we can maintain safety for them. We have a lot of children in our county being raised by grandparents or an aunt or someone else who may have completely stayed out of our system officially through the court system. But the opioid epidemic definitely weaves itself into probably almost every case that is before me in some manner, somehow. It is definitely an issue.
Well, thank you to Matt and your team. We had the opportunity to go to the picnic that you had in the summertime and to see the effort and the enthusiasm that your staff has to try to make everybody feel welcome and to do the good things that you do for children. We greatly appreciate that, and I know the people in the county do as well.
Every year we attend your longevity ceremony, and how many years of service we have over there. And it's incredible how many people, 20, 30, 40, I think maybe last year we had one that had 45 years.
Our agency staff, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is such an asset to our community. The knowledge, the experience, the repetition of being able to identify certain things. As we move forward, you're not going to all be here forever. And so we'll be turning over some people. And I just hope that they maintain that high quality of dedication and care for our children throughout Lycoming County.
I can say that one of the initiatives that came out of the state was addressing the high turnover rate in children and youth agencies. We are lucky that we do not have that problem in our county. We were actually looked at across the state to come and be on those committees to help address the issue, and I attribute it to very strong leadership who cares about their employees, and their employees know that, and very well working together as a group for the common goal of the care for the kids. I think one of the best things that I have with the agency, if I want something to happen, the answer is always, okay, let's figure out how to do that. It's never, no, can't do that. We can't do that. We've never done it this way. It's always, let's figure something out. It may not always happen, but it's always very open-minded, and I think that leads to our success as well.
While you're here, we know tonight it's a tangential organization, but CASA is having their annual
Yes.
benefit at the Watsontown Inn, 5:30. It's the court-appointed special advocates, and they certainly play an important role in helping you do your job.
They definitely do.
So if anybody wants to go to that, I'm sure they'd be able to squeeze them in.
I usually attend that, but there's 2 other meetings tonight. We have to.
Busy time of year.
Are any of the parents here who have adopted?
Yes,
kids
we have
that
1,
Yeah.
we have 2, we have 3 adoptive parents. You want them to stand up? I think they should be recognized.
Yeah, absolutely be recognized. Thank you.
And if you care to make any comment, you're welcome. There's no pressure. You don't have to. Just.
I do have to point her out, which is terrible, but I'm going to. Melissa Wieland, one of our long-term employees at the agency, currently a supervisor of our our intake unit, is an adoptive parent through the agency as well, which I think is kind of incredible to see.
If there are no comments, we'd like to make the presentation of the proclamation.
Do you guys all come up for the picture? Yeah, I'm getting them.
Stay up. Thank you all. Thank you.
Should have told you.
Can you come together a little bit? There we go. Ready? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Judge.
again.
Okay, at this time, we're going to move to the action items, and we will go to item 2.1.
2.1, Roxanne Rico, group update to the TDA and total report.
Good morning, Commissioners. In the Department of Public Safety Communications, the addition of one part-time temporary addressing coordinator, GIS specialist position at a pay grade 6-7. Also in the Department of Public Safety in the EMA area, the removal of one part-time clerk 3 at a pay grade 4. At RMS in the Operations Division, the removal of one temporary equipment operator, pay grade 5-6, to be effective December 15th, 2019.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I move to approve the update to the TDA and the total report.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Moving on to 2.2, we're asking you for approval of the HR activity report for all HR activity for the month of October 2019.
Thank you. Need a motion?
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Moving on to 2.3, the following personnel actions. In the Commissioner's Office, Eileen Ebner as a promotion to full-time replacement administrative manager, pay grade 8, $38,548.49, annually effective November 17th, 2019. In the Department of Public Safety Communications, Danielle Roller as the new position at the part-time, she's moving from full-time to part-time in the addressing coordinator, GIS specialist position at a pay grade 7, $18.208147 an hour, effective November 17th, 2019, not to exceed 1,000 hours annually. At RMS in operations, Connor Kepner as a full-time replacement equipment operator, pay grade 6, $18 an hour, effective December 15th, 2019. In the Public Defender's Office, Mitchell T. Edjeski as a full-time replacement assistant public defender, that should be APD, $53,022.72 annually, effective November 18th, 2019. At pre-release, Abigail C. Burley as a promotion, I believe that's just a part-time replacement, resident supervisor, pay grade 5, $14.14 per hour, effective November 17th, 2019, not to exceed 1,000 hours annually. At pre-release, Cody E. Bardo as a full-time replacement resident supervisor, pay grade 6, $16.59 an hour, effective November 17th, 2019. At the prison, Sheila Lane as a full-time replacement LPN, pay grade 6, $23 an hour, effective November 18th, 2019. In the District Attorney's Office, Ruth M. Charles as a full-time replacement clerk 3, pay grade 4, $14.878391 per hour. In the Sheriff's Office, Denise S. Guspar as a full-time replacement clerk 3, pay grade 4, $14.09 per hour effective November 17, 2019. At pre-release, Lino Perez as a full-time replacement resident supervisor, pay grade 5, $15.22 per hour effective November 24, 2019. And finally, at pre-release, Joshua Ward as a part-time replacement pre-release driver, pay grade 4, $12.96 per hour effective November 24th, 2019, not to exceed 1,000 hours annually.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We need a motion.
I'll move to approve the personnel actions under 2.3 in the agenda as read by the Deputy Director.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2.4, approved purchase agreement to Seedway LLC for the items on an as-needed basis for the bid item. Jason Yorks.
Good morning, Commissioners. For your approval is in agreement with Seedway LLC. This will be an as-needed basis for RMS for the yearly supplies of sedimentation control, seeding, fertilizers, and so forth for our turf growth on the slopes and so forth.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
2.5, Director Yorks again.
Commissioners, this is approval, seeking your approval for a professional service agreement for Commonwealth Equipment Corporation. Commonwealth Equipment Corporation, or as we refer to them as CEC, is one of the firms that can assist us with any baler repairs or recycling equipment repairs that we need on an as-needed basis. We typically don't need to use too much of their services, but if we needed to, they're available.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And 2.6 is also Director Yorks.
Commissioners, again, this is another professional service agreement. This is with Recycling Equipment Corporation, or as we call them, REC. Same services that Commonwealth would offer as needed basis for the baler repairs, conveyors, and so forth that we use in Recycling Center.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve the PSA with Recycling Equipment Corporation.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
2.7 with Maya Toon, approve fiscal year 2020 amendment to agreement with Rogers Uniforms LLC.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
This is just an extension for a renewal on a contract with Rogers Uniforms for the prison and to provide correctional officer uniforms. No rate increase, just simply extending the contract term.
Okay. By a year or?
For a year, yep,
Okay.
for 2020.
All right. Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve the contract with Rogers Uniform.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
2.8 is also Maya Toon for approving fiscal year 2020 intergovernmental agreement with Center County Housing Agreement.
Again, this is another contract with the prison. It's for out-of-county inmate housing with Center County as needed at $65 a day, which is a no rate increase from last year.
Thank you very much. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve the contract with Center County.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And 2.9, approved contracts under $10,000 for October 2019. Again, Maya Toon.
These are the list of contracts, which were 16 for the month of October, which were approved by the Director of Administration.
Thank you. We did look at these on Tuesday. Need a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2.10, approve fiscal year 2019 Fair Fund sub-recipient agreement with the YWCA Austin Daly.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today I have for you a subrecipient agreement between the county and YWCA. It stems from the 2018-2019 Fair Grant. It's in the amount of $70,000. The program will allow for women or women with children who are homeless to be housed in a rental unit. The funds, as part of the overall budget, will allow for a projected 25 households to be helped. The clients are expected to participate in case management and any other required programs that they participate in. As an additional benefit to the clients, they are also provided resume writing courses, interview skills. They're provided a renter certification to help them be more, to help them build for their future moving forward, so that once they come out of the program, they can be more successful.
Thank you, Austin. Need a motion?
So move to approve the sub-recipient agreement with the YWCA.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
2.11, approve professional service agreement, diversified treatment alternative centers. Ed Robbins,
Nancy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Juvenile Probation is asking you to approve a renewal of our contract with DTA. They operate 2 residential facilities emphasizing treatment for adolescent male sex offenders. They attempt to balance their treatment population by also admitting delinquent youth who are non-sex offenders, and there is no rate increase from last year.
Thank you very much. We did discuss this at length on Tuesday. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agreement with Diversified Treatment Alternatives.
Second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rodney Morehart to approve
Otherwise known as Mark Davidson.
Close enough.
Sorry, Mark.
Oh, that's okay. Commissioners, we're requesting approval for these 24 landowner contracts for the participants in our nutrient credit trading program. This is our 9th year of participating in the credit trading program. These 24 contracts should result in approximately sales of probably 64,000 plus or minus of income coming into county farmers, and a portion of that to the county as well. I believe Rod discussed these contracts with you at length on Tuesday, if I understand correctly, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Just out of curiosity, so all the land that's put up through these contracts, must it be strictly farmland, undeveloped land? You know, are there any restrictions on the land that's put up for that?
The credits are basically based on the operation and the conservation practices that the farmer implements on his property. So it's not necessarily corresponding to the amount of land or anything. It's the management decisions that are made on the farm. Essentially, our credits are derived primarily from cover cropping, no-till planting, use of buffers, and also a big factor is use of manure for fertilizer. That's what generates the credits. It's not necessarily a commitment of the property, it's the management decisions on the farms.
Okay, so if somebody had a gas well on their property, it wouldn't affect their,
No, that doesn't have any impact. I mean, it might decrease the number of acres that they're doing something, from
You'd
a
have to take that
conservation
out, right?
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all based on per acre with the practices that are implemented, yes.
okay, all right.
Essentially, we're rewarding them for best practices, right? Best management practices.
Yes. And they're providing credits to sewer treatment plants elsewhere in the
Yeah.
Commonwealth.
I shouldn't say we're rewarding them. They're getting the benefit in the marketplace from these entities that need the credits to offset their obligation.
Correct.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
At this time, we need to recess the commissioners' meeting and convene the salary board.
Good morning again, Commissioners. We're asking for an update to the salary schedule. Once again, in the Department of Public Safety Communications, the addition of one part-time temporary addressing coordinator, GIS specialist, pay grade 6-7. In the Department of Public Safety in the EMA area, the removal of one part-time clerk 3, pay grade 4. And finally, at RMS in the Operations Division, the removal of one temporary equipment operator, pay grade 5-6, effective December 15th, 2019.
Thank you. At this time, we need a motion. Need a second?
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We thank the controller for being with us. And at this time, we will adjourn the salary board and reconvene the commissioners' meeting. Oh, let's see, no, we won't. We will go to the Board of Assessment. We will, yes, we will. Right, this is a meeting of the Board of Assessment Division. That's a separate, okay. We will go to the Board of Assessment Revision. Thank
Good
you.
morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Brooke.
I am here to ask you to approve the 2020 certified tax rolls. There are 51,993 taxable parcels. The assessment is $5,735,238,775. There are 2016 exempt parcels. The assessment is $1,024,084,360 for total parcels of 54,009 with a total assessment of $6,759,323,135.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate the spreadsheet that you had sent over to us.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At
By
this,
the way, I think she said 1 million on the assessment, you meant 1 billion. 24.
On the exempt
for
parcels?
record. Yeah, it was 1 million.
Okay.
On the exempt parcels,
Exempt parcels.
it should be 1,024,024.
Yeah.
Thank you. I need a motion.
I'll move to approve the certification of the 2020 tax rolls as listed on the agenda.
I second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke. At this time, we'll adjourn the Board of Assessment revision and reconvene the Commissioners' meeting. And we will go to reports information, item 5.2.
5.2, concerns, comments, and thoughts on the Design 9 State of Cog broadband study with Matthew Hopkins.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So I don't know if you would just like me to talk a little bit about this, or if you have any questions, or...
So, just for clarification, you're with River...
I'm Matt Hoppus with River Valley Internet. Yes, we
Okay.
provide internet all over the Susquehanna Valley, up and down the river here.
Okay. Okay, yeah, we'll hear your comments. I would just state this, that I think from the meetings, I can say that Design 9 was told to go back and update their plans or the study that they did, and there is a couple of things in the works right now that might have something to do with maybe what you're going to address.
Okay. And Design 9 also received our thoughts. For anybody who is in the room here who isn't familiar, Design 9 was contracted by the county, correct me if I'm wrong here, just to do a broadband feasibility study.
CEDACOG.
Or CEDACOG, I'm sorry, yes.
CEDACOG, and I guess the CEDACOG contracted with Design 9, and it's Union County, Clinton County, Lycoming County, and I think Northumberland County. So there's 4 counties involved in the study that was done, and the presentation was made. Was it the end of October or was
something like that? Yeah. Yep.
And Design 9 is in the process of updating the study once again, and then that information will come back to us, and it's far enough along that CEDACOG sent a rough recommendation to the commissioners that they feel that we should probably plan on including something in the 2020 budget for a possible match to a Appalachian Regional Commission potential loan that could come to help with the broadband. Sorry.
So Design 9 came back with a study which we looked over, and as a service provider in the area, submitted some comments to the commissioners as well as Design 9 and CEDACOG. And so we have watched some of these broadband projects develop over the many years. And our concern is that the project actually happened in such a way that broadband is delivered to the residents of Lycoming County. Because we've watched projects that are talked up very well, and in the end it was well meant, well intended, but the end result, just because of disconnects between what the private sector can do, what the end user actually wants, what the contractor thought they wanted, and what they heard, and every layer in there, the end project isn't as useful as it could be to anybody who's involved. So our concern is just that there'd be a lot of communication that goes on between all of the entities, the potential stakeholders that may use a network that's designed, the end users who want the network, who need the broadband in the county and don't currently have it, and just that a lot of, if encumbrance can be removed as well. So one of the points that I had submitted in the comments was that the county does have assets such as the towers that are available and that potentially have space on them. But Lycoming County has been very protective of their assets, which is fine. But if this goes through and Lycoming County decides to allow wireless broadband providers to use those towers, if some kind of a cookie cutter method or something can be put in place so that the deployments can happen in a timely fashion and not take 12 months to occur because of everything that might need to be done in the background there, or longer. The other thing that I see as a challenge is we've gotten quotes from private utility contracting companies to construct fiber optic. One of the areas is Kinley Drive, which I know you guys have spoken to the residents up there. Because of the terrain up there, it's just very difficult to even do a wireless broadband network in that development. But literally the quotes that we have gotten thus far have been as high as $126,000. And that's to wire fiber optic to something like 12 homes, which makes it, and we're still trying to figure out what to do up there, but it makes it very difficult to do it from a private industry, and even almost from a charitable, area where you're getting grant funding. But yet there are people like that need broadband. And so that's a challenge that is going to come up, as whatever project you're looking at, and as we continue to try to figure out how to bring broadband throughout the county. One of the other comments and concerns is that there's been discussion about Design 9 proposing a fiber optic network that will allow end users to connect to it. And again, this just comes back to talking to the service providers that you may be selling the fiber optic to make sure that we're able to actually connect into it, and that it isn't just built and then it's kind of left there and nobody does much with it. I think that's really a basic summary of kind of the larger document that I had sent to the commissioners to look over. I don't know if you guys have any further questions on that.
You know, the only thing, maybe you could sort of educate the public also on the relationship between the installation of the broadband and economic development in the county.
Sure.
Because there's going to be lots of money spent on this, and some members of the public are going to say, why are we doing this? I personally believe that it's critical to moving this county forward. It's analogous to not having electricity in 1930 and 1920 and trying to then do things in the area of economic development. But maybe with your experience, you could sort of just explain some of the, especially with the generation of young people, you know, the millennials who are starting businesses that are often internet-based, and just sort of enlighten us on that a little, if you could.
Well, I can give you a personal example of myself, and it absolutely, you're right, it does go to many, many people in the county here. I live up in the northern part of Lycoming County, up Route 14, right at the corner of Bradford and Lycoming and Tioga County. We had, for the longest time up there, nothing except for Frontier DSL, which just continued to get worse and worse and worse, to the point where I literally could not run my own business living up there, even though we enjoy being, you know, out in the country and everything that comes with it. But it got to the point where, you know, I couldn't work from home because the internet was so bad. And there are many, many people that now have the ability to telecommute, and that has great benefits. They can work from home, spend more family time, but if the internet's not there, they can't do that. And we actually, you know, because it was part of the business, ended up running some fiber optic line up the side of a mountain, and there's kind of an antenna mounted to a tree up there because, you know, that's how desperate I was to be able to work from home and to be able to manage what I need to from home. Not everybody has that, you know, luxury of being able to do what we did there. But yes, without the broadband, you know, like out in the Huntersville area, there's areas out there that still don't have very good broadband. Out in Waterville, there's areas out in Waterville that don't have very good broadband. And so for somebody there to be able to do anything connected to the internet, any kind of e-commerce, they've got to come into an office or come into town or use the library, come into their office, maybe stay late and work. And certainly no business is going to set up shop out there if they can't do telecommunications and do even something as simple as their online banking from their office.
I think also the national companies that are willing to allow someone to live in a rural area like this, as long as they maybe come into an office in Pittsburgh or they come into an office in New York City, you know, once a month or something, but they're doing the majority of their work here. Those are the people that we could attract to live here. And actually, if you look at case studies of other areas with economic development, they've been able to do that. They've been able to draw from the major metropolitan areas, which are very overcrowded, which have issues of incredibly expensive housing. They've been able to draw them out to rural areas like our county, where the cost of living is a lot less. Yep. So we'll have to work on that. But we appreciate the energy. You started your business, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Matt, roughly when did you send the notes to us so I can make sure that I've...
It was...
Was it right after the...
Do you remember, Tanya? It was like a month ago, maybe?
It's about a month ago.
Yeah.
It should be in your file.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
for Tuesday. I put them in your Tuesday reminders.
Okay. All right. Thank you. No, we appreciate you coming in, and we look forward to getting the update from Design 9 and getting a move forward meeting sometime early next year, I think, with CEDACOG.
Sounds good. Yeah, we're looking forward to see what everybody brings to the table as well.
I do think, you know, it is going to be a process because they've got to file a grant application with the ARC, and those things do take time, but I guess they'll give us a chance to get organized and get ready.
Yep.
You know, and throughout the process, if you have other concerns, feel free to call us. You know, you don't... Personally, I like a call better than an email just because I can get more exchange back and forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Feel
hope
free
that
to
we'll
do
keep
that.
communication open.
Okay, because I know you put a lot of energy into this. You came to the meeting and you were very active at the meeting in terms of raising issues, and obviously you've come today, so thanks a lot.
Yep, and obviously my biggest concern is just that rural people who don't have broadband are actually the winners in all of this, as you and I have discussed.
Well, it affects our children too, because when more and more of the homework at the high school level is being done, where kids have to download it, and if you don't have the capacity to download large data files in a reasonable amount of time, it hurts our rural kids.
Well, and if I can say one more thing about that, it's not even just the rural kids, but I was talking to Eric G. over at Loyalsock School District the other day, and he said that, I don't have broadband or sufficient broadband has become the dog ate my homework. Because kids come in and say, I didn't have the internet, or the internet wasn't working. But he was saying it's even affecting people, in town, where you would expect broadband is there, and for one reason or another, they don't have broadband.
Well, it goes hand in hand with the cell phone problem also. We had a gentleman at the meeting that night who lives in Loyalsock, about 1.5 miles from the school, and doesn't have cell service. And it's a problem because in the healthcare now, what they're doing is they might put a device in your heart, and they're sending a signal via cell phone to them from this device. And obviously, if you don't have cell service, it's not going. So, thank you.
All right, thank you.
We were asked to put a placeholder in our budget of $50,000 to $150,000, so that a grant that may become available, I think it was $500,000. We could possibly apply for. One of my biggest concerns, obviously, is there's always a new project.
Yep.
Okay, and from the microwave, the 911, to the radio towers, to the
next gen.
These are huge cost drivers. And I guess before I'm sold on it, obviously you're a salesman. You're pitching this because it's going to benefit you. And I understand, how it can benefit students as well in the rural areas. But what is that cost versus the benefit? And what are we, this is just the start.
Yep.
And what are we looking at here as far as trying to accomplish your goal? Are we looking at $1 million? Are we looking at $10 million? I know we want to get started, but we also have to look at that.
Yep. I honestly think I'm a little biased here, although we're starting to branch into fiber, but we are primarily a wireless provider right now. I honestly think the quickest way for the county to, bring broadband to some areas is to figure out the tower situation and how providers can rent space on there. But there legitimately are areas where wireless is not the option, like Waterville. It's not going to work there. And honestly, as a commercial entity, we can't build fiber there because it's just, even if I want to, it's going to take me 50 or more years to even make a payback on it, let alone maintaining it. So the only way that broadband is going to be brought to some residents realistically is through grants, whether it's coming to a private entity like ourselves or Comcast or Verizon, or through the county building something that a provider can use. I think, and actually, Steve, you can correct me here, Tri-County Rural Electric is right now fibering up a very, very large section of Tioga County, northern Lycoming County, and Potter County, and they're at $35 million. What are they?
Total dollar figure?
Yeah.
They're looking at 81 total.
Okay, so they're 81 million to run fiber to every single one of their electric subscribers. So fiber is not at all cheap to do, but unfortunately, it is really the only answer in some areas of the county. But a very, very quick, cost-effective way to cover some of the areas is just a wireless overlay deployment.
I think part of what people have to recognize is that the major telephone companies really don't want to be in the business of maintaining landlines anymore. And so you have, I won't name the carrier, but you have a certain carrier who runs a lot of DSL to the community. And as an elected official, I get calls at home from people whose phone line is down and they're being told that it's going to be 2 weeks. Now, I have the advantage of calling up and saying, listen, this is either state representative or county commissioner, and you need to do something faster. But the point is that these major companies don't really want to be in the business of maintaining the men and the trucks and women and the trucks and the lines. And so where in the communities where DSL is, it's not the ideal setup. And I think just, 10 years out, 20 years out, it's going to be even worse.
Yep.
And at some point, they're going to get Congress to say, you know what, you don't have to provide a landline to every house. I don't know how long that'll take, but at some point, the politicians are going to give them the relief that they need. So anyway, we have to.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you, commissioners.
5.3.
5.3, requesting zoning hearing board solicitor services bid. This is actually going to be my tune.
We're just requesting to go out to bid for zoning hearing board solicitor services for the planning department. This is just part of the renewal process. It'll be for a 2-year term.
Thank you.
And then Maya's also doing 5.4, requesting rebid for qualifications for Williamsport Region Relief Well Rehabilitation and Replacement Project.
If you recall, we originally went out to bid. Unfortunately, we did get not any bidders back, but that was due to a medical-related issue with our contractor that helped us assisting with this project. We are hopeful that we'll get a better response the second time around, and this is part of the first phase of a 2-phase project.
Thank you very much. At this time, Commissioner comment?
Yeah, I'd like to bring up an article that I read in the Sun Gazette maybe yesterday or 2 days ago regarding the Clinton County Prison and the lawsuit there. Just in case anybody doesn't think we paid attention to that, we do. I see the past warden here, and our entire prison system is something that I'm very proud of. You could ask the wardens today that the Board of Commissioners, if they heard of any complaints by inmates or any complaints at all, we made sure we went over there and investigated those complaints. And typically, they were just complaints. There's nothing major, and basically just wanting on you. So you do it well. Our prison board is committed to making sure that our prison stays with the integrity that it has. And just in case anybody is out there questioning what does Lycoming County do differently, well, for sure we do. We make sure we take care of the inmates and treat them with respect.
Two things. Yesterday I had an opportunity to drive down to Washington and sit at a roundtable discussion on affordable housing and affordable housing development that was chaired by Secretary Ben Carson. There were probably 40 to 50 people in the room from all around the country sharing their stories. I took down 2 pages of comments from Lycoming County. He was really interested in hearing what can the government do to cut down on regulation to help making housing more affordable and the development of housing more affordable. It was a very interesting and unique experience, and there were people from all over the country. There was one other commissioner from Pennsylvania, from Lancaster County, that was present, and he did. Secretary Carson, when I said to him that he had been in Lycoming County, he did remember, and he said, yes, I remember seen a big building that had murals on it. And I said, yes, I think it was right across the street from where you gave your speech at the Community Arts Center. That's the arts part of our community, and he smiled and said he had fond memories of his evening here. So, I think that was probably, I don't know how long ago it was, but I do think it was probably 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So that did leave a lasting impression. The other thing I wanted to mention is I don't know how long I've had this, but this is dated, was a memorandum from November 12th, 1999, from Eugene Yaw to Andrew Fulmer. And it had to do with a question was raised to me as to whether the county commissioners could have computer terminals giving them email access in their offices. So that's 20 years ago. That was a item of discussion. And heck, I think right now
You're welcome.
for the most part, for the most part, we couldn't live without email. But that's all that I had to share.
I thought you were going to mention it, but we had an opportunity about a week ago or so to attend a conference up in State College about trying to figure out how we can help folks with mental health issues in our prison system and in our probation system. And we certainly had some good ideas that we heard from other counties, what they call the Northwest Initiative, where 3 or 4 counties are coming together to try to put together a facility outside of a correctional facility where people with serious mental health issues can get some help. And I hope that we have an opportunity to try to explore that in the year ahead. I remain convinced that one of our driving factors on the overcrowding of the prison is really the mental health crisis that faces and has faced our state for probably well over 10 or 20 years, where our prisons have become de facto mental health facilities, but without the staffing and without the backup to be able to really be what a mental health facility is. They're supposed to be a prison. They're not supposed to be a mental health facility. So that was encouraging to hear those counties be able to talk about that. And I know when we look at our numbers that we get on our monthly prison report, I think we're at least 20% of our folks in the prison have either a serious mental health. That's a smaller number, but have had some mental health issues. So that was encouraging for us as commissioners to be able to go and attend that.
Thank you. At this time, public comment.
Good morning. I'm not the public, but I guess I can speak on it.
Yes, sir.
I have to say that Tanya's message was profound for me. I heard her say 2 things to this board. I heard her say to this board, take care of your employees, respect your employees are taxpayers, all of which are true, and we've had many conversations about it, but I don't know that the employees believe that. I sit in a position where a lot of folks talk to me. I can tell you as I look around the room, there's an office or department in this room who has not helped me or I have not helped from the sense of being partners. And it's troubling to me to have someone like Tanya, as good of a person as she is, to make that statement, which makes me wonder what you as a board and what you as individual commissioners, how that resonates out to this employee group. That's disturbing to me. And she mentions, in addition to that, and I listen closely, she mentions the director. I'm talking about Director McDermott. And I hear her say, and it almost sounds like a plea, about his status. And I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, but I know that this, I believe it's his 4th or 5th year of this contract, and it's going to end in 45 days. Now, I hear the commissioners give the accolades to our veterans, and I hear you help our veterans every day. Yet you've got a director of administration who sits here as a veteran, and he doesn't know in 45 days if he's going to have a job. And I'd like to know what's okay about that. I think nothing's okay about that. It's contradictory to say we support the employee group when it doesn't appear that there's support for the top employee under our senior leadership, that being the commissioners. And I just am puzzled. And maybe I'm puzzled by indecision. Maybe I'm puzzled by an intentional don't address issues that are so important. Each year when we have Veterans Day, I recognize my staff. And I'm not going to put you in a spot and ask you to respond, but I wonder if you've thanked a battalion commander, an Apache fighter pilot, a Top Gun instructor in the Army, if you said to him, while you've been in office on Veterans Day, thank you for your service. Because I'm not hearing that when Tanya gives her message. And I'm disappointed. I don't know what all the answers are, but I find it hard to believe that you have a contract that looks like it's going to expire in 45 days, and you have an employee and a taxpayer and a veteran who has no idea what's going to happen. And I think that's a big disappointment for me. Thank you.
I just want to make one comment here. Yesterday we were doing the budget and we were looking at the health care costs for the county. And we were looking at what we budgeted in 2019 and what we're going to budget in 2020 to protect our employees in the area of health care. And the amount that we budgeted, I think, is going to rise from $10.5 million. Is that what you showed? We looked at this morning. We're going to budget almost $15 million because the cost of health care for our employees has gone up 32%. And that's not through the fault of any of the employees. It's due to the fact that we are trying to maintain a really good health care system to take care of our employees. So when people question whether or not this Board of Commissioners cares about employees, I think that they ought to look closely at what this board has done. And yesterday, when we were trying to decide how much we would do to keep that burden from crushing our employees, when we know we have taxpayers who have no health care at all, and we know we have taxpayers who don't have the ability to go to a doctor without paying the entire cost, whereas our employees pay $10 copay. So I think that it's important that people recognize that it's a two-way street. I mean, we are doing everything in our ability to maintain these jobs as good, decent jobs. And I haven't even gotten to the pension. I see in the audience our pension consultant, where our employees have a defined benefit plan, which it's true they put 8% into. And I've supported that defined benefit plan, and I have spoken publicly in favor of it for the last 10 or 20 years. Because I believe defined benefit plans protect people in their old age. And I voted to give an increase. But I get a little upset when I hear a tax made on this board as not caring for employees, when I know that in this county, the overwhelming majority of employees don't have a pension at all. And the ones that have one have a contributory pension, not a defined benefit. A defined benefit is going to protect you with a base. And there are people who would give their left arm to know that if they worked at one of the major institutions in the county for 20 or 30 years, that they would have a flat amount, which is what our employees have, and I support it. And we know also that employees have been funding the pension system since it began, and that it was around 1999 that the county stepped up and we put 1.2 million or 2 million a year, because that's the responsible thing to do. But some commissioners might say, we're not going to put that in. We maintain the pension system at almost a 96% funding rate. Some commissioners would say, you know what, it's 96, we'll let it get down to 76, and then we'll put money into it. But that's not responsible in my view, and I've fought to make sure we fund it. So all I'm suggesting to you is that we're doing our best in an atmosphere where healthcare costs go up 32%, and we're fighting to keep these jobs as decent jobs. A decent jobs means you work and you have protection in your old age, and you don't have to. Listen, I'll be honest with you. One of the issues we're confronting is whether we should have a spousal carve-out on health care. In other words, most employers in this county say, if your spouse has health care from another place, I personally don't support it, because I think a family is a family. And I'm not going to go to work every day and then come home and tell my wife who's sick, or my child, we're talking about adoption, tell my children that, sorry, you're not covered by dad's or mom's health care. But I'm just suggesting to you, Sheriff, and I respect you and I respect what you're saying, but what I'm suggesting to you is that things are not as simple sometimes as we think they are. And the pressures on the taxpayers and the pressures, and I understand that all of them are taxpayers. I get that too.
I get that. My message is individual employees count. And honestly, Rick, you all, for the last year, with all contracts, we work contracts. I'm required to have contracts done by your guidance in the summer. We're required to get contracts ready to roll. I'm suggesting, and I wouldn't, if it were Matt or were somebody else, it wouldn't make who the difference. I always look out for the little guy. I'm suggesting that 45 days out isn't acceptable, Commissioner.
I know, but Sheriff, one of the things you have to be aware of is that no employee has a contract in this county. And whether or not this Board of Commissioners decides to go ahead with an exception of one person is a decision that the board has to make. There is no contract with any employee in this county.
I get that.
So what I'm trying to suggest to you is that whether we decide to go ahead with a contract or whether we decide to have him as an as-will employee or whether we decide not to have him as an employee at all is a decision that the Board of Commissioners has to make based on all the facts that are before us. And that is simply a question of whether or not, what we decide to do. But it's not something I think that's pertinent. Quite frankly, I'm a little shocked and surprised that it's coming up today, but you're free to bring it up as long as you want. I don't believe, personally, if I had been on the board 5 years ago, I wouldn't have signed a contract, because no employee in this county has a contract. But that's a decision that a prior board made. And I'm not second guessing them. I'm just saying that it's not, it's not a norm. It's not a norm. I mean, no employee has a contract.
I get that, but I made 3 other points.
Yeah.
There are 3 other points I made, Commissioner.
Yeah.
And one was the veteran status, and I didn't hear you comment about that. And I'm disappointed.
This is not meant to be an attack on the board. What it is to be heard and to also to acknowledge. It's always easy to pay attention to what people don't do, but I just wanted to acknowledge what the director has done since I've been working for him. On the first day, we had the strategic goals. So I'm just going to be a voice for what he has done and to nominate him for a Job Well Done award. The first one was to advance the financial health of the county. He has a mission. He is a leader. And in the military, you have to have a goal and end. So his efforts have spearheaded $2 million of additional interest income to help the county. He invested in human capital as the number 2, with the management of supervisory training and professional edge, which I attended. I am here every day, and I watch him go over to the courthouse and oversee the remodeling of the 3rd and 4th floor. He has leveraged and increased outside agency and alternative funding solutions and this is, I asked him to do this. I want you guys to know that I asked him because I've watched him every day, and I have not seen him respected and listened to in a respectful manner. Number 2, he helped spearhead the new radio system, and he's also had a lot of entry on the GEO reentry program, and he's helped promote regionalization when we did acknowledge all the officers when they helped with the presidential, when the president came. So I'm just nominating him for a job well done. That's what my intention is to do, and to acknowledge what he has accomplished in the community, no matter what the board decides. But I think that he is worthy of remaining.
Thank you. Any other public comment at this time?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good afternoon. Good morning. Yes, it's still morning.
It is, thank you. I lose track of time myself. Anyway, for those that may not know, my name is Kevin DeParlos, for the record. And Commissioners, I am here to speak in support of Director McDermott. As you know, I spent several years with Director McDermott in my former capacity as a warden.
Mike,
And
It's not working.
and I don't really speak that loud, but can you all hear me up front there? Okay. Well, again, I'm here on behalf of support of Director McDermott, and I listened to what Commissioner Marabito had to say, and so my point is whether it's at will or whether it's a contract, I would strongly encourage the Commissioners to retain Director McDermott. He was a great asset to me. I believe that he is a great asset to the county, and I believe that we are fortunate and blessed to have an individual of Mr. McDermott's caliber in our employment. And with that, I'll close. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Scott Metzger. I'm Commissioner-elect. This directly affects me. I have grave concerns that we have lost 63% for our county employees over the last 4 years. We listened this morning about how Children Youth has maintained their employees to effective leadership. We do not have effective leadership right now in the county. That's part of the reason why I ran and the voters spoke. We have an HR department director leaving. We have the director of public safety leaving. We need to make sure that we have all the stability in place for when I take office. And part of that stability is having a director of administration in place. And I agree with the sheriff's comments that what Mr. McDermott has done and the lack of attention to his upcoming contract or at will employee, whatever it will be, should have been addressed long ago. It has been put off like many other things in this county. It has not been addressed. I've watched Mr. McDermott be an ultimate professional. He's a veteran. He's a leader. He was a military leader. He brought that same leadership into the county. And it is my opinion and my belief the county would be in a lot worse shape if it wasn't for McDermott's leadership. What he has done has been instrumental. I've watched it objectively. And I am a huge proponent that he is an asset to this county. The EIP study, in regards to Mr. Marabito's comments, the EIP study, one of the major issues was employee morale. That has to be addressed. We're not talking about salaries. We're not talking about just benefits. It's overall how employees are treated. There's recommendations in that EIP that have not been addressed yet. I plan to address them come January 3rd. And they will be addressed and attended to. The main reason why I'm speaking this morning is we need a director in place. We need this attended to immediately. You have enough on your plate with the budget. And I want to make sure that the director is in place when I take office come January 3rd. And that's with Tony and Mr. Maravito in place. Mr. McDermott has the knowledge currently. He has more knowledge of this county than all three of you combined. And that is a statement from one of your commissioners. He has made that statement publicly. So I urge that you attend this, you make this right, and you do what's in the best interest of the county. Thank you.
I would say, Commissioner-elect, that we always do what is in the best interest of the county. And sitting in this seat, we can't turn this into a employee relations meeting when we can't speak on employee matters publicly. And I don't think that was the, at least I hope that wasn't the original intent of Ms. Anderson's comments. You know, you made the comment of the employee turnover, and I don't know how many times we have to address that, but you know, I know the election's over, but I'm going to say what I've said from the get-go, and that most of the turnover in the county comes out of the prison area, where we have corrections officers. Between the corrections officers, and you can look at the statistics, it's the corrections officers, the PRC, and then we have the normal turnover in the departments, and a lot of stuff is retirement related. So, you know, people are not leaving in droves because they're dissatisfied with the county. They're looking for opportunities, or they're taking the opportunity to retire. Anyhow, the three of us have served the last 4 years doing everything in the best interest of the county. And I just want to be real clear on that fact. And as I am the departing commissioner, I would not want to leave and leave the incoming commissioners with any real bad issues to deal with. And we're trying to get everything squared away before the end of the year. So, you know, that's my comment on that. Any other public comment? Seeing that there is no other public comment, our next meeting will be Tuesday the 19th at our work session, 10 a.m. in this room. Thank you.
Hey, wait a second. I gotta say hi to somebody. How are you? Oh, it's good to see you. Did you grab my?
Yeah, I was following.